Immediately right off the bat, you don't notice much inflammation. There's some inflammation, as you can see here, at the base or the front of the hip, which would be, that leads into her groin. But this, if she has some issues in her hip region, it wouldn't surprise me. But I'm gonna move that foot over a little bit. So she came to me wanting reflexology to release some stress. Reflexology is great for relieving stress. In fact, that's part of its moniker, really. Relaxes and relieves tension and stress. And the reason it does that, I'll jump right into the science, being the nerd that I am. Because there's over 7,200 nerve endings on the bottom of the feet that relate to every other part of the body, every organ, every gland. And when those nerve endings are manipulated, if something's going on in the body that's blocking that flow, then by applying pressure using my thumb, it's a technique called thumb walking. It may be a little tender to the client that's lying there too, and that's why I had them lying up so I can see their faces. Because this can be kind of a tender procedure at times, especially if you hit a congested area. For instance, if you don't drink enough water, then your kidneys are likely to be very tender. And they find that reflex, that collection of nerves that communicate to the kidneys through the spine. You find those here, right inside on the plantar side of the foot. Right above the kidney lives the adrenal glands. And for this young lady, it's still a very viable gland. The adrenal glands are the gatekeeper for the hormones that communicates with the thyroid to regulate the reproductive hormones. That along with the ovaries. So it's like a teamwork, between the thyroid, the parathyroids, the adrenal glands, and then you get into the ovaries. And the adrenal glands have a lot to do with that. And as women enter menopause, the adrenal gland is called on less and less, and they enter that gland enters something that's known as adrenal fatigue. So I'm working the heel here till she's been doing some extra walking lately because the heel is kind of gravelly. So it's a good idea throughout the session, and it's good for my hands too. This feels wonderful for the client, but it's also relaxing for my hands because I'm basically massaging the pads of my thumbs when I do that on the ankles. Just so I can keep moving.
Now, what does it mean when it tickles? Does it?
That you're just ticklish?
Oh, okay. So there's some spots where it feels more like ticklish than painful.
Okay. So like for instance, one area that's can be tender and not painful but burning is between the toes. Sometimes if it's a burning sensation more than a pain, it's like ooh. But that is a situation. That's how we read the barometer for the health of the lymphatic system, is how much burning is in between the toes, because in between the toes there's a nice there's a reservoir in there, and the lymphatic fluid literally flows over that. And if the body isn't pumping hard and fast enough for the lymphatic fluid, it has a tendency to not make it over that top of that hill, and it builds up there. And so that burning is me pushing that fluid out of that reservoir so we can get back in and start pumping the lymphatics. Now, good to know, since we're talking about lymphatics right now, the lymph nodes that carry the toxins out of our bodies and that carry all the other vital things that they are responsible for actually only start here in the across the band of the foot at the base, right at the wrist for the ankle.
Okay.
So there's no nodes here. So like when ladies get pregnant, their feet have a tendency to really swell, and it's more difficult to get that swelling down. Or for instance, if your client presents itself with congestive heart failure, you'll find a band of swelling across here. There's a lot of women that present with huge bands of inflammation on their ankles. I haven't quite figured that one out, or what causes that, or how to reduce it, because it's right at that spot where there just aren't enough lymph nodes to carry it out. But you move up just a couple inches into the chronic hip, knee, and leg reflex, and it can get pretty tender. For instance, if I went up like that on your leg, that can be kind of tender, as opposed to being very gentle and caressing it. This is more of a lymphatic maneuver, trying to trigger the lymphatics and not crush them, because that can be painful. So generally for the client, they have their choice of 30 minutes, 45 minutes, or an hour. Rarely will I go over an hour, and if I do, it's to include a session of Reiki afterwards, which can be a really profound experience after getting fully relaxed with the reflexology. Now, I've been serving and doing this since 2007. Started studying in 2005, and to date I've rubbed over 8,000 pair of feet. With that said, my hands are tired, and I think it was a beautiful thing when CBD oil started being introduced and being put in front of us. Just the discovery of the endocannabinoid system, because it touched home because of my reflexology. The 10 principles that I live by with the reflexology is that it helps to alleviate stress and tension. It improves circulation throughout the body. It aids in the removal of toxins. It helps the body maintain a natural state of homeostasis. It encourages the immune system to work at its optimum level. It helps rejuvenate the system and increase energy levels. It breaks up blockage, affecting the flow of energy. Relieves common aches and pains, contributes to the overall well-being of the body and mind, promotes healthy organ function. So number 4 is what really turned me on to the endocannabinoid system, because that's its exact job, is to help maintain the body in a natural state of homeostasis. And that's where the magic happens, in that homeostasis. So all this time, all those feet that I've rubbed, I've just been activating their endocannabinoid system. So the way I see it, you either need to book a session with me, or you need to buy some of my CBD oil. How's that? So, I want you to be healthy. I want you to, live a long, happy, healthy life. And I think we're capable of that. We're aware of the fact that we need better diets, and how important exercise and movement is to our lives. And these types of modalities can't be considered a luxury. They have to be considered mandatory and part of our health regime. I am the bus driver that doesn't ride the bus, because I don't get my feet rubbed because there aren't that many reflexologists in my area. I need to find one because I would love to have my feet rubbed, you know, to get as I give would be amazing. And I'm not qualified to teach it because I didn't opt for that national certification. So I can mentor, and as long as you only want to do it for your friends and family, I can teach you all day long. But for you to walk out of my offices with a certificate in hand. Now, I can teach you Reiki. 1, 2, and 3. Oh, hello, uterus. Yes. Whee. Well, this will either get things moving along. So a lot of women, when they get reflexology and they're going on vacation, they try and schedule after their vacation and not before. Because I'm working this uterus reflex right now. It's a one spot reflex where I just have my thumb. If you draw a line from the tip of the ankle to the base of the heel, right in the center there's a valley, and in that valley are the nerves that connect to the uterus. And when a woman is in her menses, this can help with pain control, it can help with cramping control, it can help with flow control, and only women are going to know that cool term, flow control. But also when a woman is pregnant, I've had the honor of rubbing several pregnant women's feet when they're in their 3rd trimester, and preferably when they're late for delivering, because that way there's no chance of, you know, a harmful delivery or a premature delivery. The very first time that I did that, my thumb felt the uterus reflex and felt the heartbeat of the child that she was carrying, and that was pretty profound for me. And it's just a wonderful way to help the mother get relaxed before she goes through all that trauma and stress of delivery, which it can be, unless you're like me and you make large babies. First one was 12 pounds, 10 and a half ounces, 29 inches long.
I was 9'1".
Danny was 10 too. Both cesarean. So, and then here's another fun thing. Here's pay no attention to the deformed thumb on the left side. Poor thing. Got actually bit by a spider 3 years ago, and it continues to deteriorate, but we're working with it. Wait, let's get those even. There, that's a little bit more. It's still dramatic, but damn spider. Doctor's like, what kind of spider was it? I said, I was sleeping. I didn't see it bite me. Sure felt it the next day and every day since. So generally, to work a full reflexology session, I would then go over to the next foot and then work all the entire foot. Now the difference here is that this foot contains all the organs and glands that live on the right side of the client's body. This foot represents all the organs and glands that live on this side of the body. Each leg is divided into 5 zones, And so whatever zone that I'm working in on this side, every organ and gland that's attached to this one zone from this little pinky toe, all the way up through the body into the brain, will be reactive and receptive to the energy that I send to the nerve endings that live in that zone of the foot. So that's basic. That's a basic reflexology session. Like I said, you can have them go from 30 minutes to 45 minutes to an hour, and then also work hands. I have done some facial reflexology, and that's another wonderful modality, especially for us older ladies that are losing some moisture in our faces and are experiencing a few more wrinkles. But the facial reflexology it can work all the organs and glands just as well as ear reflexology. And the body's just an amazing tool, and I'm happy to be able to do a little bit of work with it.
Could you say, or would you say that it could prevent maybe wrinkles or?
Facial reflexology could certainly help you because, well, what you're doing is I would use a gentle oil that's compliant to the client. Compliant to the client. ABC. And then that alone will moisturize and help the client. But just the manipulation and of the nerves and the tissues to help keep them fresh, that's going to improve it. It's like an esthetician's, a very valuable position, but not that many people, I think, go to them, no matter how healthy of an outcome it is, Just like having your feet rubbed. People think it just feels good, but when in fact, you're rubbing the whole body. You're not just rubbing the feet, you're rubbing the whole body. And that's your shoulder on this side, does it bother you? Or when was the last time you had a mammogram? You're too young for mammograms.
Yeah,
But this is all breast in here? It's exactly right. There's a lot of, between the estrogen, running in the female reproductive. Right, for sure. That's exactly what it is. I'm so past those days, I forgot all about that. That's when I knew I was pregnant, man. Them babies hurt. Whew. Girls were not happy. So, a lot of the times when I first started out as a reflexologist, I served many, many senior villages, retirement homes, and the older folks really love this manipulation of their feet. It's generally the only time they're going to get touched again, really. Not in an intimate way, but just, like a nice hug or something. But one gentleman I had, he'd worked on concrete all his life, and his legs were purple up to his knees for lack of circulation and broken blood vessels and that. Well, after I kept on him and worked every week for 6 weeks, and he cried, he called and he was crying, and he said he wanted to thank me because it was the first time in 20 years, uterus, that he had felt his feet get wet in the shower because we had manipulated the nerve endings in his feet. He had suffered through the neuropathy of that, standing on that concrete, deadening that nerve for so many years, A lot of congestion in there.
It makes sense though, because my knee is like really sensitive.
See, and then I would let that sit for a minute and you deal with that because that was pretty intense for the pain. And I'll come back to it in a minute and check that level again. And wow, the guy I had just before you had heels like this, only he was a triathlon runner. So we're going to check this. This is the knee reflex here up into the T-band that goes at the base of the hip. Is that, oh, look at the face. Yeah, it was bugging her still. Yeah, it was ouch. That's why you got to keep an eye on your client's face to know if you're killing them or not. Oops,
I'm
sorry.
still alive. I'm okay. I know it needs to be
Well,
worked
and
on.
the thing is, the more you work it, the longer you work it. You know, it doesn't have to be with voracious pressure. You just keep sending that energy and just visualize, you know, the little toxins being broken off as shards of glass coming off the nerve endings. And then the rich blood flow passing over the nerve endings, receiving, you know, nutrition and vitality again so it can communicate with whatever organ or gland it's connected to. And then when you go back in for one last check, there should be far less pain. And it'll be more smooth. And if the client continues to have their lifestyle the same, if that's a chronic thing that happens, it'll never change. So, like for you, that was probably chronic in the past, but because you've started walking, it'll be easier to fix in the future. It's obviously a weaker point, but because we were able to work that out in one session, it's not near as tender, is it?
No, not quite.
I mean, it's still painful. Yeah, I mean, it's a chronic place. There's some scar tissue involved there.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Because it's hurt so much, and I can feel it's not a smooth thing. Like the knee reflex is like a crescent moon. It's like, well, on your knee. You know, it's got the shape of the knee, and you find that right here on the side of your foot. Right? And you can see right there is the kneecap. Ooh, baby.
I can't help it.
Sorry.
Oh, no, you're good.
Oh, right there. There's a band of inflammation in there in that kneecap. So, find it, address it, move it, manipulate it for just a matter of seconds, really, and then come back to it. You don't want to bruise that area of the foot. You don't want to hurt it any worse. You know, you just want to, you've identified that there's inflammation there, some graveliness, the way it feels.
Yeah, that feels a lot smoother now.
Well, this is your heel.
Yeah.
It's a little better too, though.
Yeah.
The first time I went over it.
And that's because I'm walking more.
I believe so.
Because I have been.
Depends on
Makes
what
sense.
shoes you wear when you're walking. You
The
have to
Skechers
be mindful of that.
Go-Box.
Oh, okay.
So that really.
Is this better, the shoulder here?
Yeah, that's definitely better. It's tad tender, but not nearly as when you first went in there.
So chest, lung, and breast. I think it was lung here. This is known as a lymphatic pump. Because remember, as I said, the lymphatic fluid literally, physically gets caught in between your toes and in between your fingers because of the way it moves through the body. If the lymphatic system is not pumping well enough, it will stall when it tries to climb this mountain. You see what I'm saying? And then to come in here and dig again and move that around stimulates it. So this gets it moving even faster and then push it up into the leg, always towards the heart. Yeah, you're not swollen really anywhere, so it's good. It's sluggish because you do need to move more. Mine would be the same way. I'd be one hot mess on my feet. I'm telling you right now. That would be a hot mess. Because I'd have trouble there.
Yeah.
That's because of what you're doing with the uterus.
Oh.
But this is bladder. For me, I have UTI blossoming, so. Lots of cranberry. Doctor's appointment on Tuesday for antibiotics.
Goody.
So I'm going to come over and do that Indian arm twist on this one too. But I'm going to stabilize my left hand and just move the spinal column back and forth. Give it a nice walk, a nice hug. Remember, this was for me. And that's why I was happy to find CBD oil, because knowing that helps the body reach a state of homeostasis. Knowing that there's another tool available to us that does that. Wow, that's so powerful. It's really remarkable. My favorite doctor on YouTube is Dr. David Allen. He's a retired cardiac heart surgeon. I love his quote where he says, "The discovery of the endocannabinoid system is the single most important scientific and medical discovery ever, and will save more lives than the discovery and application of the sterile surgical technique." Which, after I did my research, it's not been since 1827 when they discovered the sterile surgical technique, where they were saving lives. They knew that the possibility of going in and operating on a person was a feasibility, was a hypothetically, scientifically capable, but there's the nerves. How do you not make the nerves react? Well, and keep the person alive after you've exposed the inner body to all the outside elements. Sterile surgical technique, 1827. Endocannabinoid system, 1997. 22 years. I mean, that's a long time. From the excitement of what happened in that laboratory when they discovered the endocannabinoid system and named it and labeled it and for what it could possibly do, to today when there's, seriously only a handful of people that are advocates for hemp and cannabis. The one company that I'm with, we have 70,000 people maybe that are selling it, and when you consider that every person with a spine should be using the CBD oil, that's not saturated at all. It just shows me we need so much more education done so people understand how important that CBD oil is. And I've chosen the education way to do that. I love standing with a bunch of people or sitting with a bunch of people at a coffee table explaining how it works. So, I go from one family to the next, just so they understand the science of it, to know how vital it is. I love doing that. I don't love doing that when I spend 2 hours and then go by somewhere else. I don't love that. So, now we're going to close this session, but I always close my sessions with a little something known as the Brazilian toe massage. I'm taking the energy that I've stimulated in her legs and her feet. And I'm closing them off from mine. It's my way of releasing the energy that we just shared. This is a Brazilian toe massage. Now this in and of itself is a complete modality, right? So you just take the corresponding fingers to the corresponding toes and hold them with the main base of the thumb very lightly. I do this with each and every session because as I feel the energy moving through that toe, I know then that that complete zone is open throughout the whole body. One of the 5 zones that I opened on that leg. So that means the nerve is communicating all along the spine, all throughout the body up into the brain. And then to move to the next toe, once you feel that, I feel that electrical pulse, then I move on. Because this is just for me basically a check to make sure that I've done my work and how thorough it is. So I just finished working on Kylie's feet. Reduced some pain that she was having in her lower extremities. Reflexology is a wonderful gift to give to anyone. It's a wonderful thing to include in your own daily regime. It's either reflexology or CBD. Those are the 2 things that I advocate for more than anything because they both promote a state of homeostasis and you have far better tools to work with towards a better health than if you have some sort of reflexology or CBD oil in your life. Even if you get massage or chiropractic, just as long as you're having your body manipulated, that's the best way to do it. And I personally love reflexology and I love the art of giving reflexology. And so I appreciate you checking these videos out. You can stay tuned to learn even more about reflexology and the different techniques that I use on my clients. And so next time, if you're stressed out, remember to call the Foot Whisperer. That would be me, Lorraine. Now rub your feet.